These are sweat lodges in Wombly. Wombly, which has a population of approximately 725 people, is a small village located on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. The sweat lodge, or inipi as it is called in the Lakota language, is a place where sacred rituals and ceremonial practices are observed. It's here that a revered medicine man named Charles Chips Sr. is accused of sexually abusing children for many years. Chips allegedly abused his own daughters and granddaughters. The sexual abuse of children has long been regarded as a rampant, if largely unspoken, problem on Native American reservations. Lena Chips was married to Chips' brother, who was also a medicine man. She says she was shocked to learn of the allegations that he abused the children during the sweat lodge ceremonies, or sweats.
Yeah, he did sweat, and that's where majority of that was coming from, was he took the little girls in the inipis and he would do that to them in there. And he would tell them it's the spirits.
Lena says her own relatives were victims.
With the way I felt about Charles Chips, when I first found out, I wanted to get a gun and go shoot him. That's where my thought was, and I told the FBI that too. I said, you know, if I had a gun, I would hunt him down and I would blow him away for what he did to all these kids. He hurt these kids drastically. You know, it really hurt these kids. Because some of these kids, they don't care now. They really don't care what happens to them.
Growing up on the Pine Ridge Reservation, Chips became a highly regarded spiritual leader. He was a father and a grandfather. He released a CD of ceremonial Lakota songs and visited Native American communities around the country. But in 2009, the reputation of this respected elder was shattered when Chips' own son called tribal authorities, accusing his father of sexually abusing young children.
I ended up talking with, I'd say he's probably their uncle, one of the kids' uncles, and which would be the suspect's son. And he got in the police unit and explained to me what was going on out there, and that he was, it wasn't right, and that, he has kids of his own, and, he was afraid for their safety also,
Chips was arrested on tribal charges of rape and child sex abuse and placed in a tribal jail.
We did our reports. We did what was asked of us as police officers, and did our report, and never heard nothing about it, after that, and which kind of had us wondering if we had done something wrong on our half, that's why, nothing wasn't happening.
What Officer Pretty Bear is referring to is the way criminal cases are handled in Indian country. The jurisdiction for felony crimes on reservations is generally shared by the tribes and the federal government. Chips' case was investigated by federal officials in Rapid City, South Dakota. But in 2010, the U.S. Attorney's Office decided it did not have enough evidence to bring federal charges. Chips was set free after he was detained for a year, the maximum amount of time a suspect on Pine Ridge Reservation is allowed to be held without going to trial. Chips remained free for another 3 years. During this time, prosecutors say he tried to intimidate his victims so they would not talk to investigators. But on July 16, 2013, Chips was arrested in Wombly by federal authorities after new evidence emerged. And there was also a new prosecutor, Heather Dawn Thompson, taking the lead on the investigation. Thompson says she could not discuss details of the Chips case. In sexual abuse cases, she says, it takes considerable time to gather evidence because victims are scared of sharing their stories.
There are certainly some families in which the children are literally trapped, or they feel trapped. They are being abused by someone they love. They are your parent. They are the ones that provide your home and your food. You live in a very rural, isolated area. People look up to your parent. Who are you going to tell? If you do tell someone, you're going to be removed from the home. And as a young person, as a little person, 7, 8, or 9 years old, that might be more horrifying than what you know.
Charles Chips Sr., now 67, is in a Missouri federal prison. He has pleaded not guilty. Chips is awaiting trial, but his attorney, Terry L. Pachoda, says he's not mentally or physically competent to take the stand. Pachoda declined to comment on the case beyond his statement to the court, where he said that Chips has diabetes, high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, and is unable to recall events in Wanblee.